From calling out a problematic creator before the drama even started.
He always struck me as a weird guy. Like, I always got Logan Paul vibes from him. Like, how does he keep getting away with all this shit?
To exposing one of the shadiest sponsors YouTube has ever seen.
That their counselors was really questionable, with all kinds of crazy stories.
On a platform where you can't really trust anyone's word, and most creators will promote anything if the check is big enough, PewDiePie has always been the exception to that. He chose honesty over a quick paycheck every single time, and these are the times when PewDiePie tried to warn his fans. Back in 2018, almost every major YouTuber was promoting the same sponsor, and no, it wasn't Raid Shadow Legends, it was BetterHelp, an online therapy service that lets people receive counseling without needing to leave their homes.
BetterHelp. 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 View BetterHelp. 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 BetterHelp.
Following its 2013 launch, BetterHelp made around over $60 million in revenue and began using some of that money to sponsor some of the largest content creators, such as Shane Dawson and Jack's Films on YouTube. And while many of these YouTubers were convincing their subscribers to sign up for BetterHelp, PewDiePie felt that something was off about the therapy platform. And in October 2018, PewDiePie decided to make a video to discuss his issues with BetterHelp.
What am I talking about? Well, of course, BetterHelp. You've already heard about it from your favorite YouTuber.
For starters, PewDiePie pointed out how frequently he saw BetterHelp's advertisements all over the internet.
There is a list of over 100 YouTubers who have promoted this website. It's been all over Reddit, my own subreddit. I always see these ads. Try online therapy. Try online therapy and you too can grow a magnificent beard just like this guy.
Then he mentioned that while BetterHelp promotes itself as a cheaper alternative to real-life therapy sessions, their terms of service don't seem to reflect that.
In their own terms of service, they acknowledge that if you are using this site, it is not a complete substitute for face-to-face examination and for a session by a licensed qualified professional. So it's marketed as a cheaper substitute for therapy, when in reality, it's a luxury.
PewDiePie also exposed how BetterHelp's marketing was deceptive and didn't align with what its users were receiving.
BetterHelp also says that we'll find you an online therapist, but in their terms of service, they also say, we cannot assess whether the use of the counselor is right and suitable for your needs. So what do? They don't take accountability for anything. You can find a therapist that does phone calls or texting by yourself.
To make matters worse, PewDiePie revealed that BetterHelp had been sharing its users' personal data without their consent.
The cherry on the top here is that in their terms of service, they can share your data. And anything talking about mental health related, that's really not a problem if that's public information, right?
And he didn't stop there. PewDiePie also revealed just how much money these creators were getting paid to promote BetterHelp to their audiences.
It's been confirmed that YouTubers have been paid $200 per person that they get to sign up for BetterHelp. $200. That's a lot of money. Just get 1,000 people signing up, you just made $200,000. So obviously you're highly incentivized to tell people to sign up for this service.
But PewDiePie wasn't just sitting there tearing BetterHelp apart. He actually gave them ideas on how they could improve their services without taking advantage of the people who need help the most.
If a service like BetterHelp existed, they should take accountability for their counselors' actions. It should be in their best interest to make sure that anyone that signs up gets a good service. But in their terms of service, they say that they don't. And this is obviously because they're mass producing it. And they definitely should not market themselves as a substitute for therapy.
And after PewDiePie's video went up, the whole internet turned on BetterHelp almost overnight. And soon, people started flooding Reddit with their own BetterHelp horror stories about how their BetterHelp therapist would barely respond to them, cancel sessions last minute, and just generally provide the bare minimum. And to give you an idea of how bad the service really was, one person's therapist told them they couldn't be depressed because they had nice cheekbones. But things only got worse for BetterHelp from here. In 2023, the US Federal Trade Commission came after them, claiming that the company had been sharing its users' private information like emails, IP addresses, and even details about their mental health problems with platforms like Snapchat, Pinterest, and Facebook. And the whole time, BetterHelp was telling its users their data was safe. The company ended up paying a $7.8 million settlement, refunding its patients, and was banned from sharing any personal data with advertisers going forward. And none of this was a surprise to anyone who watched PewDiePie's video back in 2018. While every other creator was happily promoting BetterHelp, PewDiePie was telling his fans to be careful. And years later, every single thing he warned his fans about BetterHelp turned out to be true. But BetterHelp's sketchiness wasn't the only thing PewDiePie saw coming, because something about Ryan's World didn't sit right with him either. Ryan's World was one of the biggest channels on YouTube, and the concept was simple. A young kid named Ryan opening toys, playing with them, and reacting to them on camera. And somehow that formula was pulling in hundreds of millions of views and earning the family tens of millions of dollars a year. The channel was reaching numbers that even PewDiePie himself couldn't touch, and that's when he started feeling like something about this whole situation was off. So in January 2017, PewDiePie sat down and made a video about Ryan. At first he wasn't really concerned. He was just poking fun at Ryan's content and having fun with it.
Alright, let's brush your teeth. Ryan's going in to take a bath.
He's got a tricycle.
Welcome to Ryan Toy Review.
Fuck, I don't have an intro. Shit. Let's make one right now.
Welcome to Felix Toy Review.
Has it really gone to that point? Making fun of 5-year-olds?
But it didn't take long for things to get serious. PewDiePie said he didn't think Ryan's success should be celebrated, because the more he looked at it, the more it felt like this kid was being used.
For the last 18 weeks counting, Ryan Toy Reviews has been the most popular channel on YouTube. The youngest star YouTube has ever seen. Are we celebrating this? Are we celebrating the fact that this mother is like, you think he's getting any money of this? You think he's getting the toys?
He was worried that Ryan's parents might not have had the boy's best interests in mind, and that the whole channel felt more like a production than a kid just having fun.
Yeah, awesome.
What are we gonna get?
I don't know. Who will you hatch?
See, she doesn't even let him finish. He was clearly about to say something there.
Who will you hatch?
Look at him.
And we even found a
No, you don't matter, because I matter! Shut the fuck up, Ryan!
He even compared Ryan to child TV stars, saying it felt like his parents were directing him behind a camera.
You can still hear the noises inside.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think he came up with that sentence himself and no one else told him to say that.
You can still hear the noises inside.
Yeah.
I don't, like, I'm sure he loves it, you know? I'm sure, I would love, when I was a kid, to open a bunch of toys. But at the same time, it's like, it's something off about it. It's kind of like seeing child stars on television, because you know, like, their parents are literally forcing them to do it.
On top of that, PewDiePie also called out something that most people didn't even notice. Ryan's parents had a whole Walmart sponsorship running in one of their videos and never once mentioned it was an ad.
They're sponsored by Walmart. It's 100%, it's so clear. Like, watch this video where they're like, we got an exclusive Walmart egg.
And we even found a Walmart exclusive version too.
Ooh, why would any kid give a shit about that? Explain that to me, okay? Why would any kid give a shit about Walmart edition? It doesn't make any sense. And then you get The Verge posting, he took money for Warner Brothers positive game reviews, even though he didn't. Talk about inadequate disclosure.
PewDiePie also questioned whether Ryan's views were even real, because the engagement numbers didn't match.
Have you ever seen a video with 11 million views and 9,000 likes? Please direct me to that video, because it doesn't exist. These are not real people. These are not real views. There's only 1,000 comments. Take a video where I had 11 million views.
How's it going, bro?
It got 22,000 comments. 22,000? 1,000. Most viewed video has 600 million views. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? What the fuck? That's more than half than Call Me Maybe.
Now, the bold claim doesn't really stand up, because Ryan's viewers are little kids who can barely hold a phone, let alone interact with a video. So the low engagement isn't suspicious, it's just a reality of the audience. And the Walmart sponsorship was probably just his parents not knowing the rules, because they started disclosing everything after that. But the real point PewDiePie was making had nothing to do with bots or sponsorships. He was saying that this kid might be getting used by his own parents, but at the time nobody wanted to hear it. The internet turned on PewDiePie for even bringing it up. People called him jealous, said he was bullying a child just for views, and nobody stopped to think that maybe PewDiePie was just looking out for a boy who couldn't look out for himself. But years later, a 2024 podcast interview with Ryan's family kind of proved his point. His parents are the ones doing all the talking, while Ryan barely says a word. Now, you can't expect a teenager to lead an interview, but after what PewDiePie said, the whole dynamic was really hard to ignore. And what makes it even worse is that in the same interview, Ryan's dad said the whole channel wouldn't stop once Ryan grows up. One of his sisters, who's already in the videos, could step in and take his place.
You know, one thing we're thinking about is we want to make sure we cater toward the existing fan. 5 to 8 years old are our core demographic. But at the same time, Ryan's growing up and then he has new interests. We want to cater toward his new interests as well, new field. So maybe we'll start a new one, and then this Ryan's World channel, the existing one, maybe, yeah, like you said, animated character could take over a little bit, and we probably start casting some other on-camera kid talents and then on-camera talents who could carry same essence that Ryan had. So we still harness the same connection we established through these past years with the fans.
And if you scroll through the comments on that podcast, people are finally starting to see what PewDiePie was talking about all those years ago. When he talks, both his parents look intensely at him. I don't think anyone can feel comfortable talking freely like that. Even Ryan himself is calling it a job. He's only 12 years old. His dad mentioning multiple times we don't really push things onto him that he doesn't want to do is a clear red flag. At this point, the family has hired over 30 people to be part of Ryan's world. So even if Ryan wanted to walk away from all of this tomorrow, he probably can't. There are too many people whose livelihoods depend on Ryan showing up in front of that camera. We'll probably never know what really goes on behind the scenes, and maybe Ryan is perfectly fine with all of it. However, PewDiePie saw all of this coming back in 2017, and instead of listening, the internet called him jealous and tried to cancel him. But years later, the internet is finally catching up to what PewDiePie was saying from day one. PewDiePie was right about BetterHelp and Ryan's World, so when he started calling David Dobrik weird and shady, people probably should have paid attention. At his peak, David Dobrik was one of the most beloved creators on YouTube. He had millions of subscribers, brand deals with every major company, and a crew of friends that the internet was obsessed with. David got his start on Vine in 2013 before making the jump to YouTube in 2015. His vlogs were pretty normal at first, just a group of friends messing around on camera. But when that stopped getting the numbers, David started pushing things further and further to keep people watching. And eventually, he pushed it way too far. In February 2021, former Vlog Squad member Seth Francois came forward and accused David of SA. Back in 2017, David had blindfolded Seth and told him he'd be kissing Corinna Kopp. But instead, David swapped her out for Jason Nash without telling Seth. Instead of apologizing, David denied the whole thing and claimed Seth knew exactly what was going on. However, the fans weren't buying David's side of the story, and neither was PewDiePie, who called him weird and shady during a stream.
It's so weird. Are people talking about this? Seems hella shady, dude.
And then things got a lot worse. More allegations came out in the following weeks, this time involving David's friend Dom Zaglaitis, who was accused of assaulting a woman during a video shoot back in 2018. David finally had no choice but to apologize, and he posted an apology on his podcast channel. But it barely addressed anything. He talked about cutting off certain friends, but never mentioned the assault allegation directly. The fan response was brutal, but the real damage came time when David turned off the likes and comments from the video, because brands like DoorDash, Chipotle, HBO Max, and HelloFresh all dropped him without wasting any time. YouTube pulled his monetization and David lost over 400,000 subscribers in a matter of days. David knew his career was on the line, so he posted a second apology on his main channel.
I've put myself in a lot of situations where I've needed to apologize for my past actions, and I've never done this correctly, and I've never done this respectfully, and my last video is a testament to that. I don't want to defend that video. I don't want to delete that video. I just want to be clear.
But none of this was a surprise to PewDiePie. He told his viewers that he always had a bad feeling about David, and that everything that was coming out just confirmed what he already suspected.
I said in a couple live streams ago, I'm like, damn, he always struck me as a weird guy. Like, I always got Logan Paul vibes from him. Like, how does he keep getting away with all this shit? And then it came out, he's just been fucked up shit going on behind the scenes.
But PewDiePie didn't stop there. He predicted that David would eventually come back to YouTube and act like none of this ever happened. And in the months that followed, he kept going after David, even calling him a sociopath with no real personality of his own.
I think overall, you know, David being a sociopath and with lacking any actual personality, I think that also shows in this house. Like, where is he in this? Do you think, like, it looks good, don't get me wrong, but this is his house, and there's no way to know that.
And just like PewDiePie said, once the heat died down, David came right back to creating more content on YouTube, proving once again that PewDiePie had been right about him from the very start. At this point, PewDiePie's track record proves that when he says something doesn't feel right, it's only a matter of time before everyone else sees it too.